Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing? Whoa. Hello, hello, hello. Jeremiah, Minnie. Hello, friends. Jelly, hello. We're still with Die, be over shortly. No worries. You good? You Gucci? Oh, gosh. It's a busy day, and I don't want it to be a busy day, especially since what I have to do today is something I definitely don't want to do. But it is what it is. What's up, Silver? Hope everyone's doing well this morning. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I gotta go to the dentist, which I hate, but and then I've got another meeting today. My meeting yesterday was really good, by the way. I'm gonna be. I was invited to be a like initial creator or whatever at a new streaming service that is designed specifically for political content. So while I won't be switching fully over to there for my political stuff, chances are I'm going to be moving over there slowly because, whoa, what's going on? Hey, Ambrosia. Because it really will be designed for more for what we do here. So, yeah, should be interesting. We'll see what comes of it. But yeah, I got to meet with them yesterday, and it's a pretty good thing they're doing, especially in terms of the political climate. So basically trying to make a place that's more designed for that purpose and for having conversations as opposed to rage baiting, which is also nice. What's up, Night Shifter? What's up, OC? Thank you, guys. Thank you, Nana. Appreciate you all. Thanks for joining the team. Thanks for tapping. Thanks for doing all the stuff that makes it possible for me to keep doing what I'm doing, which is talk to you amazing people. Appreciate you. Oh. Technically, they didn't actually do anything yet, NMAC. That's why it says, did you? Or did they? Why would you say that's a good thing? Mail-in balloting is safer than in-person balloting. It would be a different platform that's specifically designed for political conversation, Scott. You can prove it just as easily as well as you can prove anything else. Hey, Chrissy. No, you can't actually. You cannot easily have your significant other do it for you. Uh-oh, what? What are you uh-ohing? Hey, Vonda. What's stopping them from doing it? The process of mail-in ballots. It's not just a fill things out and everything's fine. I did see what John Ossoff said. Yes. Yes, they just ruled that the lawsuits were not valid. What fraud? Where is their fraud? And prove to me that it's the process that is causing the fraud. Heck, the president himself is voting by mail-in ballot. Explain to that. I'll never figure that out. We'll help you, Scott. It's all good. We'll help you out. Banning mail-in ballot equals strategy to suppress votes. Sure. 100%. We all know what the end game is. We all know what they want. Sure. Yeah. No doubt. Hey, Laura. You support a single day national holiday election day. Okay. Then you would need to add a lot more voting places and make it a lot and provide services to make sure that disabled people can get there, or people without cars. You would need to add a whole lot. Lawsuits are not yet ripe for adjudication. That's all the court said. My question is how they can possibly fit in these changes if legal before midterms. True. That's true. They can't make the changes this close. Not without being unconstitutional, at least not in my opinion. Premier, yes, I did see what the premier from Ontario said about Trump. That was funny. That was hilarious. That was so good. That was really good. What did he say? So he basically said that the president could kiss his ass. Morning from Northern Ontario, Canada. How are you, Kays? Amazing how Dems cheer for every other country but ours. Oh, we would love to cheer for our own country. Also, I'm not a Democrat, but we would love to cheer for our own country. What's to cheer for right now? Taking away of the rights of people? You whine. That's not how you spell wine, but sounds like you're whining, actually. You're the one who came in here and was like, it's amazing how Democrats only vote for every other country but ours. That's the whining. You're the one who's actually doing the whining. Back to work? All right. Have a good day. Look at him deflecting. There's nothing to deflect. So I don't know how you could say I'm deflecting. You didn't say anything worth deflecting. You have to say something that requires deflecting. You're running for cheering for Ford? No, we're talking about what he said. I think it's hilarious. We had a retired postal worker in Dies Live last night. Every mail-in ballot already has an external barcode connected to the address. Yep. Plus you have to sign it, plus they've got a signature on file, plus they got a match. Hey, Hook. We just started like 10 minutes ago. I think the time between November of 2026 and January 2027 will be unprecedented. Possibly. So how are we affected? We're not affected at all yet. Basically, all the Supreme Court did was say that the lawsuits that were specifically brought forth were not, as Scott said, ripe for adjudication. Hey, Kelly. Executive orders are not laws. True. That doesn't mean people can't do things based off of them. They certainly didn't help, Azim. Good morning, Dan. It has been a while. How are you? SCOTUS just greenlit his order by throwing away the lawsuits. He allowed parts of it to keep going. That does not mean they can't be found unconstitutional and illegal. The problem is they haven't done anything yet. Which isn't going to help. Yeah, basically the word yet was in there, unfortunately. Hey, Ghost. They said there were no merits on those lawsuits, not that he will win on the merits of the actual executive order. Why don't tell people in my live to go away, especially ones that have been here longer than you have. A lot longer. So my understanding is the post office part is still actually blocked. Maybe I misread it, but the actual post office one is still blocked. It's the other stuff that it was allowed to go through. Actually, it is still blocked. That's what I thought. They cannot implement it. Correct. They can continue to plan. They can't implement. Hey, Patty. Morning, Kevin. Morning, Meme. How are they deciding who gets a mail ballot? You're live as a joke. Okay. And yet you are here. Your comments are a joke. There, see, I can do it too. Hey, Sheila. What is being allowed is to make a list of voters. Correct. No, they cannot implement whatever rule the post office finalizes, not according to the decision. As it stands right now, the decision just allows them to keep making the list. True, Sheila. Trump is pawn scum. Can confirm. Trump is reflecting pool scum. There you go. The USPS lawsuit was a different lawsuit. It was not what the decision was made on. Aw, Prowler. I obviously don't know how lives work. Thank you for the hand heart, Sheila. I appreciate you. But yes, I think I think there should be 12 Supreme Court justices? Democrats aren't a thing. That's a political party. Anyone can register with the Democratic Party. Someone who believes in conservative values could still register with the Democratic Party. Why 12? Because it's a cool number. Because there are 12 districts. Right? Or are there 13? Sorry. Wrong. 13. I'm sorry, average guy. Didn't mean to make a mistake. Grow up. What's the problem with voter ID? They already do voter ID. Pretty sure you're gay. There, see, I can do it too. Can't have an even number, Mike. Need 13. There you go. Okay. Why not 2 justices per district? Why not? Why not? You're right, Michael. They didn't end mail-in ballots. And it will cut the electric power. It was a joke, you babies. Ah! Okay. You're really bad at jokes. That's the point. Haha. The number matching doesn't matter. Actually, it kind of does. Called again, having representation. Having proper. You think one justice should be able to represent that many districts?
Good morning.
Hey.
Okay, I have a cat in the background.
I can hear
you hear her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna push her away a little bit. I didn't know if she was loud enough to be heard.
What do you mean you can't? First off, no one's cheating with mail-in ballots. Trump votes with mail-in ballots. And second, it doesn't, like, they didn't actually end mail-in ballots. That was a question there, not a statement. They didn't end mail-in balloting. Can you jump into why I think Americans should take up your system? Sure, Hook. You're allowed to talk about whatever people are allowed to give their opinions on things anytime they want. That's a lie. No, they haven't, Rob. Literally haven't.
Yeah, there's been zero proof in over 60 court cases, and every single one has been denied due to lack of evidence.
If Democrats cheated, Trump would not be president right now. Yeah. Yeah. That's the funny part. Y'all act like cheating is a huge thing, and yet you guys are winning. You guys won.
There is no ballot harvesting. There's no opinion on it because it doesn't exist.
Actually, the Supreme Court did not say no more mail-in voting, but why was there 15 million more votes in 2020? Because more people voted in 2020. Because people were stuck at home. So it was much easier for people to vote. They didn't in a lot of states, they didn't actually have to like go anywhere, so they could vote.
Yeah. People were also like 2020 was a year that more people got involved in politics because more people were struggling. I mean, it was a difficult year, and when people have very difficult years, a lot more people come out to vote.
Over 90 million people don't vote, and it wasn't 15, by the way. Like, if you actually look at the numbers, it wasn't 15 million more people. But anyways, considering how many people don't vote, yeah, it could easily be 15 million. Oh, I agree, Hook. Should be doing the system that you do in Australia too. It's impossible. It's absolutely not impossible. Yes, Trump votes by mail.
I mean, if we're going to talk about cheating, the fake electors were the most egregious form of getting caught trying to cheat.
Hearing other functional country systems makes me feel stuck at the kids' table. There. Never convince Mac. Oh, I know. I'm not trying to convince him, but I'll still talk about it.
Yeah, the problem that that's one of the big issues that I have with MAGA in general is that almost everything that they bring to the table, they have zero evidence for. I mean, you name it, I could go on, like, there is absolutely zero evidence for the majority of their beliefs.
Some states send mail-in ballots because they only do mail-in ballots to all registered voters. They don't just give people ballots. There are some states that give mail-in ballots to every registered voter because that's how they do it all. In most states, you have to request. Mail-in ballots are not fraudulent. Heck, back in the day, that's all we used to do. I think you guys don't realize that, like, people back when voting started, that's like all we did really was mail-in ballots. When states just send out ballots, that's when ballot harvesting happens. No, it doesn't. Because it shows you've never done a mail-in ballot in your entire life. You can't just do that.
Again, zero evidence, people. I mean, I understand that you guys are very angry, but like, you actually do have to provide evidence that things are happening. You cannot just be off in La La Land, or MAGA La La Land, where you are like making things up that doesn't exist.
It did not happen in LA. We're not angry. I'm a rich capitalist. Oh, so you're scared. I got it, Nick. Thank you. You are scared little baby. Thank you for letting us know.
Everybody has to show ID. Everybody has to show ID to vote.
Yep.
You have to register, like, you have to be registered. You have to show ID to register. Everybody has to show ID already.
At some point in the voting process, everybody needs to show ID to vote. What's your opinion on the Wisconsin governor primaries? What about them? Trump votes by mail, not in California. Yes, in California.
Yep.
At some point in every voting in every state, you have to show ID. At some point. There is ID verification at some point in every single state. It upsets me that opposite of showing ID to vote is not compulsory voting. You know, Hook, unfortunately, we have to make a lot of changes to make voting compulsory, but I mean, I agree. I think to be a citizen, you should be required to vote.
Why do they bring up California? They always bring up California when they've never set foot in California before. They don't know what happens in California. Almost everything they hear is from probably a Facebook post that they think is real.
Correct. You in New York City have to sign a book every year and they compare signatures before giving us a ballot. Yep. I've lived in California. So you know that there was an identification process. California is a shithole? Okay.
They failed so much that they are what?
It used to be amazing.
The fifth highest GDP, fourth in the entire world. When comparing it to other countries in the entire world, pretty sure they're doing just fine.
In California, I can vote for me and my brother, no ID needed. No, you can't.
You really can't.
You literally can't. California did not pay homeless to register voters. Gosh.
You can't even pass out water to people standing in line. Like, that's what people don't understand, that there are such severe and strict voting laws that you cannot even pass out water to people who are standing in line for hours to vote. And you think that people are going to get to vote twice?
How's the drug addiction and homelessness in California? The same as it is in every state.
You want to know what it's like in West Virginia?
Literally the same as it is in every state. Didn't Elon pay people to vote? Yup. You do not only need a name to vote in California. It was not a lottery. It was a bribe. I feel so sad that Americans think that they're the land of the free when their voting system is a fraction of the Australian model. True.
2028 is too early to decide who is going to be running. We still have to get through midterms.
Again, just because something gets sent out does not mean the vote gets counted. You guys don't understand how voting processes work. You can't even come up with one
We
name.
have a
I
whole
don't need one name.
list. Yeah, we have such a huge list that it's too long to even go through. We still have to go through midterms.
No, you can't, Roughhouse. Even if you're a twin, you cannot vote for him easy. And if you're admitting, if you're
Roughhouse, go try it. See what happens.
if you're admitting to doing it, then I hope somebody in California.
Oh my gosh, low IQ socialists. Oh my, it hurts. It hurts.
You mean what happened in New Jersey when a program accidentally had an error and registered people by accident, even though those people did not try and register in the first place? I'm sorry that things can fail. Jeez.
And then they get caught in the process and stopped.
And got stopped.
Yeah, and the mistakes, like, there is such a small percentage error, and then in that percentage error, there are multiple checks and balances to make sure that when errors do happen, that they're caught and addressed. That's why you don't see any voting at the very end that is like the amount of fraud that we have in voting is like maybe a dozen that they find like in every year. I mean, it's nothing.
Not what happens when you automatically register at the DMV. Oh my gosh.
All right, I'm just not even going to respond to this person anymore because they literally don't live in reality.
No.
You can't even have a conversation with people like that because they quite literally don't live in reality.
No, they don't. Unfortunately, America dictates so much of world trade. For now, Hook, for now. It won't be that way for long. What disturbs me is you are willing to vote for a guy who's a rapist and a probably a pedo and a convicted felon. That disturbs me.
Yeah. You're willing to disenfranchise millions of Americans because you know that the people that you're specifically disenfranchising are people that would probably not vote for who you want.
That's the best I can do. I need to do more. Do you hear yourself? You're saying I need to do more than the guy you voted for is an adjudicated rapist? Literally found guilty of it? And you say I have to do more? Do you hear yourself? Jeez. Thank you for showing me what kind of a person you are. No proof of Trump. He was found guilty in a court of law. See, no. You can't sit here and say, "Oh, I accept the findings when it's somebody that I'm against, and when it's not somebody against, I just call it a kangaroo court." No. That's not how things work. They showed proof in the court when they found him guilty. You idiot.
I mean, he's literally talked about it live on TV, on air. I mean, he's talked about essaying women, and young girls. And he openly does sexual harassment against women almost on a daily basis.
Liable for SA is just the civil version of criminal rape. They just can't call them different things. One is brought by a person, the other is brought by the state. They are the exact same thing, though. They just can't use the same words.
Yeah, the Supreme Court didn't even want to take his appeal. His own Supreme Court. Yeah, he openly admitted to looking at young teenage girls in his pageant.
He openly talked about how much fun he has grabbing people's private parts. The standard of evidence is low. The judge himself said he committed rape. You just can't call it that.
Good morning.
Morning.
And Rough House, if you're going to spread misinformation, you can just go away because it's not true. Like, literally, it's absolutely not true.
And no, there is not a huge difference between civil court and criminal court when it comes to rape. Just because you are willing to completely ignore the fact, like, and even regardless, he was found guilty of SA, and yet you're okay with it. Like, again, do you hear yourself?
I mean, people, like, they just don't care. Like, also, that's like one of the pillars of MAGA is being extremely misogynistic to the point that they quite literally don't support systems that protect women against violence. It's one of their pillars.
Based on your responses, whatever your name is, 09122, I'm guessing you're a guy. And as a guy, the fact that you're asking those kind of questions means you don't understand what it means to be a woman in 2026. Correct. Civil is different in some of it, except it was a unanimous that it did happen. He was found liable for it fully. And again, the judge said that he committed it.
Republicans didn't even run on a platform in the last election. Like, Trump literally did not run or release any platform whatsoever. And the only like platform sort of that they had, it wasn't even a political platform. It was the Heritage Foundation's plan. I mean, it's not hard to find.
Again, Tim, if you think close the border is why he won, and the idea of closing the border allowed you to ignore that he was found liable of rape, that he is probably a pedo, and that he has 34 felonies, that's a you problem.
No, he posted videos of himself, but he did not have a plan that he posted. None of the videos that he posted were any sort of actual plan.
He did have his own Agenda 47 on his website. It's over 900 pages long in the smallest print possible. And most of it was just carryover from P25.
And Dewar, I understand that he was found liable, not guilty in the essay, but again, that's a difference between civil term and a criminal term. We've had lawyers up here. There is no difference other than the fact that one is civil and one is criminal. They mean the same thing. Responsible is still the same meaning.
His whole platform was identity politics and hate. It really, really was.
Oh, no, it is a you problem, Tim. I'm not arguing that he won. I'm saying the fact that people voted for that and ignored everything else is the problem.
There's so many reasons why he won the last election. There was between Biden's age, between how economics were doing, a lot of hate, a lot of misogyny and racism. But the largest factor every year in voting is economic reasons. And they're in big trouble this midterms.
You're giving Republicans too much credit. I mean, that is true also. I'll give you that. What did I see? Someone asked a question. Does El Said accept Hassan's extreme statements? I highly doubt El Said accepts everything that Hassan Piker believes. That's just very unlikely. No one agrees fully on everything. Biden's age. What about Biden's age? Biden's not president. Biden shouldn't have run for president in 2024. I was against it.
Yeah, I was too. When he decided to run, I was very, very upset and angry about it. And that's what I mean. Like, actually, a lot of Democrats were really not happy that he decided to run.
Pissed. Was he? Do I think he was still better than Trump? Yeah, I'll still say he's better than Trump because he's not a literal evil person. But I was pissed. I was pissed. And I think the Democratic establishment, the Democratic Party, should have made him step down and not allowed him to run, if I'm being honest.
Republicans in general were not mad that Trump decided to run because they are part of a large cult.
Yes, Trump, by the time his term is over, will be older than Biden was at the end of his first term, but this is also Trump's second term.
Yeah, I mean that it was part of it was Biden's age because his own party knew that we did not want a large part of us did not want him running because of his age. His it's not just Republicans, it's Democrats too.
And it's more than just his age. I talk about accountability all the time. When he ran, he said he was going to be a one-term president. He specifically said that when he ran the first time. He shouldn't have. And I literally said that he shouldn't be running and should be stepping down. Did the calls for it get louder and louder and louder as time went on and he kept doing things? Yeah, of course they did.
I mean, I remember watching that first debate between the two of them, and I'm just sitting here thinking, we literally have two basically 80-year-old white men who are rich arguing over policies and questions that the average American doesn't give a crap about. Neither one of them were relatable in that debate at all.
The parties are just corporations. In the end, I don't care about the parties. I care about the people. Both parties are useless.
I care about the bills that are being put forth and who's voting for what and what they're writing and what policies are they implementing.
Heard Biden's wife wanted Biden to run for a second term. That may be true. I honestly don't care. We've needed someone to fight for what's right forever. I mean, that's always the case though. In the end, the problem is still us as the voters never holding people accountable. Hey, Lino, we just don't. We do not hold these people who run for office accountable because far too many of us are so absolutely obsessed. No one's going to fully represent you, Quinn, ever. There's 300 million people in this country. And depending on what state you are, there are literally tens of millions of people in a state. I've given up. If your only goal is to get someone who actually represents you, then you've lost the plot. It's not about someone who can fully represent you. And that is absolutely horrible. And that needs to get, we need to fix that. It requires everyone in this any representation. Well, yeah. I mean, again, the problem is us as voters don't hold our representatives accountable in the primaries for what they say they're going to do. When 90% of incumbents just get through primaries, like, of course nothing's going to get done. You've had none. That's I mean, I can't speak to your situation, so I would not dream of it. To say you've had no representation, I would struggle with that. But again, I cannot speak to your situation, so I would say a lot of corruption has nobody worth voting for. Well, what is your expectation then? What's your expectation in the vote? Again, if you've got 750,000 people in your district, we're talking about the House of Representatives, what does representation look like in your opinion? What does that mean? Does that mean they do what you want them to do? And again, know that I'm not trying to defend these current representatives. I think we need to get rid of all of them, or 90 5% of them. But I think we've lost the plot sometimes about what representation means because we're suffering. Because we're suffering.
And don't forget that it's not just about the president. I mean, you have local elections too. Like, you should be looking at your local representation. I mean, I live in West Virginia, and I can say that every year, I mean, my national representatives are definitely not representing me, but on a local level, I have a lot more sway and influence, and I live in a purple kind of like little town. So we definitely have really important elections, at least on that, and they make a huge difference in our lives.
So here's the thing, Quinn. And again, I appreciate what you're saying, and I think this is an important conversation to have. The reality is there are people that feel like they're being represented that don't align with your values of equality and decency. When the problem comes is that most people don't vote in the primaries when there are people that probably would align at least more closely to what values you want to have in a representative. That is the problem we're dealing with. I mean, look at it. We had what, close to over 70 million people vote for this. They never make it because people don't get out and vote. I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying people as a whole. And again, I understand your apathy 100%. It's something that I dealt with. No, corruption doesn't win. You can't. When 15 to 25% of registered voters get out to vote in every primary, how can we say that we actually tried? I'm talking big picture as a community. It has won consistently because people don't get out, because people don't get involved, because the majority of people don't get involved. Again, I'm not saying you. We need to get more people to get involved.
I also say that at this point, spread it to your friends, spread it to your family. Primaries right now are pretty much over. I think we have a little bit of runoff to do. I know that
There's runoff, and there's still a few states that have their primaries in September.
But yeah, check your primaries. Most states already have their ballots ready to go. You can go to vote.org and double check your registration, and your ballot measures are going to be on there. You can check out every single person that is running in your area that's already on the ballot. And take the time, check them out.
And Karma's hand, again, I can't speak to the situation there, except to say that we will never have more than 2 parties until we can get rid of the Electoral College. And the only way we can get to the point of the Electoral College going away is through a constitutional amendment. And the only way that's going to happen is if we get people that want change, that are running under a Democratic ticket, unfortunately, to win. And the only way that's going to happen is if people get out and vote. Again, we can sit here and say we want more parties all we want, but it will not change until there were literally, I interviewed hundreds of people that wanted things like the Electoral College to be gone. They're running in state and federal positions. And a lot of them didn't win because people didn't get out and vote.
Yeah, I mean, we've added more and more states to that that amendment. What is it, like a promise or something? I forget what they call it, but to get rid of the Electoral College. I mean, we've been slowly over the decades improving in certain areas in progressiveness. It's extremely difficult when you have with the process that we have in our Constitution.
The system is not too broken. The system is, again, I'm not trying to discount your apathy, but the system is not broken. We aren't actually using the system. We, as voters, aren't actually using the system. Hey, Scott.
Hi, Mike. How are you? I apologize in advance. I was watching on the tube this morning, and because I have people here working at my house, and I've only got a few minutes.
Sure.
But I did see 2 or 3 people say, I wish Scott was here to talk about the Supreme Court case. So I'll give my brief take on it.
Okay.
Why did the Supreme Court do what they did? Well, last night and yesterday a little bit in your live, and on another live, we went into it in depth. And because the Supreme Court does not take a case that is not yet, the legal term is known as ripe. It has to have a case or a controversy. It does not give advisory opinions as to whether they think something is constitutional or not. The Supreme Court basically said this case is not yet ripe because Trump's rules have not yet been formulated, and then they will allow the lower courts to decide whether the rules, once formulated, cause any damage to the states. They said that the states, as of now, have not suffered any damage. Therefore, there's no case or controversy to be heard. I would argue that indeed there's a ton of damage caused because the states, starting today, are going to have to act as if these are the new rules, and they are going to have contingency planning in place. Therefore, there is a case or controversy. Well, I'm not the Supreme Court, and that's how they ruled. In the long term, Trump will be forced to come up with rules that he has said for the mail-in voting and everything else, which he hasn't done now. At that point, it will get bounced down to the lower courts. The lower courts undoubtedly will rule it unconstitutional for the very reason that the executive branch, per our Constitution, plays no role whatsoever in the running of elections. The running of elections is left largely to the states with some carve-outs for Congress, but it was deliberate that they gave no authority whatsoever to the presidency/executive branch. So I don't know how any of this holds up in the long term. In the short term, it's going to cause a lot of confusion among the states with a little bit over 2 months before the election. I have a real hard time seeing how these court cases can play out in time for the 2026 election. I have a real hard time seeing how that even is possible to work. So what should we be worried about? Well, it shows the lengths to which Trump is going to go. Now, Mark Elias, the chief Democratic election attorney, who is very, very good, is on top of this. He has a whole host of states working with him, blue states. They have a whole stable of lawyers that are trying to foresee every possible contingency. My guess is that if Trump is going this hard, this early, that this is going to turn into a bit of a mess, and we're going to have to be prepared for that. Now, how will we know that it's turning into a mess, since I doubt that they will be announcing anything? Well, what's the one place that people go when for the resistance to get together, to get information, to form communities? Well, of course, I'm talking about social media. We will know that things are getting very bad, and we know that social media is now controlled by the right wing, Meta, the Tube of You, this app especially controlled by you-know-who. Last time I said his name, I got flagged, so I won't say his name, but we all know who it is. My guess is that they will, before they go to DEFCON 4, or DEFCON 1, excuse me, before the Trump administration goes to DEFCON 1, they're going to try and shut down the resistance. So keep an eye sometime in between the October 1st to October 15th time frame, about a month before the elections. If you start seeing left of center content creators start getting a lot of restrictions on them, or maybe even shut down. They are not going to want to allow the resistance to coalesce and to pass information on to each other. That will be a tip-off if we see something like that. Other than that, we in other words, this in and of itself is not the ball game, but it is an indication of the lengths to which they are going to go to interfere in the 2026 midterms.
Which is why they said that it would probably be up and running within the next month or so. There is a new streaming app service that is specifically designed for politics, and they won't be doing the same thing that these apps are doing. Like I talked about all the stuff that I deal with, and they're like, nope, we want you to be able to talk about these things. We want to be able to have these conversations. So we'll get to talk like adults, and we'll be able to have, it'll be designed for having the kind of conversations that we try and have on this community all the time. So you'll be hearing more about it as it gets closer. But yeah, this
is of grave concern, but it's of grave concern that goes far beyond the mail-in ballot issue. Again, the mail-in ballots, the court has simply said the case isn't ripe yet for us to review. We have to have rules and regulations in place. The states have to object. It has to go right back to the lower courts, work its way up to the Supreme Court. Now, that may be faster than we know of. The Supreme Court may have decided, fuck the Constitution, we're going to ram this through in time for the 2026 elections. But I don't know how all that can be done in 9 weeks, especially since early voting will begin in
soon.
4 weeks.
Yeah, in some states it's beginning pretty soon.
I just don't know logistically how that can possibly work. I do see it for 2028, which is bad enough, but it could be for 2026 if they are determined to put their hands on the scales, which they very well might be. I do not trust the Supreme Court at all.
No.
And they very well might try and do it. How they pull that off is a mystery to me, because they've said it's got to go to the lower courts. Let's say Trump comes out with the rules today. The lower courts find it unconstitutional by the end of the week. Maybe by the end of next week, it could be before the high court all over again. But I doubt that. I've never seen anything move that fast, but we've seen a lot in the last 10 years that have moved fast that we never thought could move fast. So
True.
I don't know. But to me, the overall concern is that since this is, to my way of thinking, so blatantly unconstitutional what he's trying to do, that shows that there are no boundaries as to what he will try and push. And I think he's going to try to silence the ability of any resistance to communicate with each other. Yeah. And that means going after social media. And that's what I think is going to happen. So what you're talking about, Mike, is, as of now, a nice luxury. Within 4 weeks from now, it may very well be a necessity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, Scott, I really feel like right now we're like, they're speed running and slow walking at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
They're slow walking the appellate courts, the lower courts' rulings, because the lower courts have been universal that the mail-in balloting restrictions are no good, and the fact that he has to that the states have to hand over their voter registration data to the federal government are ridiculously unconstitutional as well. The lower courts have been unanimous in dealing that way, but the Supreme Court said, well, Trump has at least the right to work out what he wants to work out, and then we'll review it then. That, to me, doesn't make sense, because they are claiming the states have suffered no harm right now, which we all know logically is complete bullshit.
Yeah.
The states now have to prepare as if these rules are already in place and constitutional. They have no choice but to prepare for that. Therefore, they have suffered real harm, which is why the Supreme Court should have taken the case yesterday. It's not the state's fault that Trump has been lazy about publishing the rules.
Yeah.
That's not the state's fault. And they're suffering real harm, as are the other plaintiffs in the case. But the Supreme Court said no, they aren't suffering any harm at all, and the case isn't ripe for adjudication.
I mean,
so
let's be fair. We've this is the same Supreme Court that said that, you know, racism isn't a problem anymore in this country, basically.
Yeah,
So
well, thank God. Boy, that was a relief to me to know the racism was gone overnight. Wow. Isn't it a wonderful country we live in?
was
Yeah. I mean, so that's the type of thinking that this Supreme Court has. And I found it very disappointing that we only got 3 votes yesterday, which
Yeah.
does not bode well for the future. But the real thing is this is the biggest red flag you ever saw, that all this Trump talk, I don't care about the midterms. Remember, you can always listen to Donald Trump and just assume he means the opposite of what he says. And he said, I don't care about the midterms. This isn't about the midterms. Yes, it is. That's what it's all about. And of course, the election of 2028. They've already rigged the playing field with gerrymandering, and now they're trying to rig the playing field with a method of voting that Democrats like.
It's that
Scott,
pesky fascism that we were talking about.
Hey, Amber.
Scott,
Well,
I
I mean, this isn't pure fascism. He hasn't taken over complete control of the government, but he's well on the way. At least, if it were up to him, he would.
Scott, I have some questions about the some of the wording that was in the ruling, but I don't think we really have time today. So is it alright if I hit you up in DMs?
You absolutely can, of course. I'd be
Thank you.
delighted.
Thank you.
And on that note, Mike, I apologize. I got somebody sitting right in front of me.
Yeah.
I do have to go. Always a pleasure being with Books and Jelly, and of course, the world's best chat. Thank you.
Have a good one, Scott.
You too, buddy.
What's up, Shug? Yeah. I mean, there's already conversations going on in the Republican Party about preparing for what happens when they lose the House. Like, they're already having these conversations. Like, they know, they see the writing on the wall too. They're going to try and stop things, but they also know what's coming. Which is why, again, I say voting matters, because if voting didn't matter, they wouldn't be doing so much stuff to try and make it harder to vote.
Yeah. They are preparing their staff for what to say when investigations come, because they know that they're probably coming.
Mm-hmm.
And you are going to start seeing, and it's already started, the mass exodus of White House staffers.
It is not too late, Quinn. It is not too late.
Yeah, Quinn, that kind of pessimism really isn't helping.
How many times as a country people have thought that it was too late over the history of this country? Like, to say it's too late literally ignores history. It's not too late. Never too late. Can things get worse? Could we be in trouble? Sure. But it's not. The damage is going to take how many years to recover from? Probably a lot. That doesn't mean it's too late. It took years to recover from a lot of bad. It took years to recover from the choices made that caused the Great Depression. It took years to recover. Like, the fact that it'll take years to recover does not mean that we're toast. It just means that things are pretty bad and we got a lot to fix. That is, you know, hopefully what will come of this is more people will get involved and more people will pay attention, and then we can do more, you know, then we can get more done. Social Security is not ending. Social Security continually is getting new funds in it. By its very nature, Social Security can't end. Now, does that guarantee that it won't end? No. But that doesn't mean it's ended. Look at the numbers. I have looked at the numbers. And I've seen economists talk about it that are very straight when it comes to it. The fund will be exhausted. It won't be exhausted. It can't be exhausted. They may reduce the amount that people get, but again, by its very nature, it can't be exhausted because constantly being filled, just like we can't run out of gas or oil because we are constantly putting in new oil just as we are taking it out. Doesn't work like that.
And honestly, as far as Social Security goes, you know, if we are able to get what we want out of Congress over the next several years, wages are going to be raised, and so I can't think of the right word. My brain doesn't want to work. Contributions will increase because it's based on a percentage. So I mean, we have ways to bring it back up, and like Mike said, it's not going to go away. But you know, we have ways that we can build it back up to more of a functional level.
I'm in my
I-
late
that's the
I'm
thing.
in my late 40s. What I don't understand, like, again, uh again, do choices have to get made? Do things have to get changed in order to fix the problem? Yes. But this you know, a nihilist, it's all over, doom and gloom isn't going to fix anything. Because it's not over. There are still 300 million people that live in this country. It's not over. Actually, we don't hold felons accountable in this country, unfortunately. I'm not trying to fix a broken system. I'm trying to change the system. Why not start from scratch? Because it won't work. So again, if the system that we have is completely broken, like you think, and we just dump it all, we are then in anarchy.
Yeah, I was about to say anarchy is better. No.
The chances of a real system being built from anarchy that really works is unlikely. No, yes. Anarchy is not the replacement. That is the only replacement. Unless you have a group of people that is literally taking charge after, that is already set up to take charge with the steps already set in, and a bunch of people are, like, all the states agree to it before anything happens. That is the option. So it's the only option. I've seen it work well elsewhere. Where have you seen it work elsewhere? In a country as big as the United States of America. Capitalism is not the answer. Never said capitalism was the answer. That's my point. But that's not the point you're making. We can agree that capitalism's not the answer. That doesn't mean we don't need to work within the system and be actually involved in it. The reason we are where we are is because most of America does not take part. Socialism is the answer. Socialism is not the answer either. Pure socialism will not work. Would probably not work in the world the way it is right now. Why? Because it requires, because we are a global economy, it would involve having to work with other countries that don't do things the same way we do. DSA is different. DSA isn't socialism. DSA is democratic socialism. That's different. I'm way more good with democratic socialism. And again, you're talking to someone where if I was starting a new system purely out of everywhere, I would I would probably go communism. There are no, there aren't pure communist communities in America. They still interact with capitalism in some way, shape, or form. There is no such thing as a pure communist or socialist economy in this country or any country. Look at how well it's worked for other countries. No country has tried pure socialism.
Good morning, everybody. I'm coming up because I am frustrated with the people trying to have the conversation of an all or nothing argument. And the reality is, and I don't know what this framework or the road map is for it, but we have to figure out what is wrong in our system that we have now, what needs to change, and that's going to take a wide breadth of different people, different abilities, different whatever to fix within the framework in which we have now and develop other systems that need to be put in place because they're outdated or for the betterment of society. I mean, if that makes sense. I'm kind of a rambler this morning, but
Oh, Cynthia, you sound jealous. Must be hard to have it so no one cares your opinion. And again, Doer, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that can, in very small instances, cannot work for the betterment of their own group. But we're talking about an economic society as a whole. But sure, in a vacuum, you can have small groups of people that have the ability to live in a more communist communal way. That's just in a global economy. Communism just wouldn't work right anymore because it would require everyone. It would literally require the whole world to be okay with it. Not to mention have regulations up the wazoo to try and prevent bad actors from doing some pretty shitty things.
what I kind of get frustrated with is why people will not look at it from a macro level instead of a micro absolute level. And I guess that's kind of where I get very, very frustrated.
Sure. That is the way. Cuba is not a good example of communism. It's not. They have some small pieces of communism in their economy, but they are not communist. Again, no country has actually tried to be communist or socialist. If you look at every single one of them, they have always been something else just under the guise of it. But yeah, people like black and white. People like broad statements because it makes life easier for them. It makes it's easier for their brain to wrap their heads around. What is Cuba? Authoritarian, fascism. And again, that doesn't mean they can't throw some, like your broad statements. What broad statements am I making?
And just to expand on what I was talking about isn't it great that everybody has different abilities and experience and they lean towards different things in our society. You know, a football team wouldn't work with all quarterbacks on the team. And, you know, being able to lift up and support the different people that are trying to do different things in our society is how we're going to make it through.
Sure.
In my opinion.
Sure. I mean, again, as I've said before, in the end, we need to come to an agreement on what our fundamentals are. You know, if we can't agree that being an adjudicated rapist, whether you want to call it SA or not, should be a non-starter in society. Don't care. Don't care what party you are. Don't care what letter is next to your name. Don't care what religion you have. That should be a non-starter in our society. And the fact that you're willing to make someone president who did that is disgusting. Same with the pedo thing. Same with being a felon. You can disagree with it all you want and you can work to fix it. But the fact that you're willing to put someone who was unanimously voted 34 times to a convicted to have committed felonies and then said, yeah, let's make them president.
And for all things, for manipulating his income, and I knew the right word for that, and it escaped me as my mouth opened. Yeah, for manipulating the books. I mean, it was fraud.
Yep.
And now we're wondering why we are now with all of our missing money.
Tim, that's a dumb statement. That is a dumb statement. And that is the kind of statement that doesn't allow for any change or conversation to happen, because it not only is flat out false, but it ignores anything that's going on in the world right now or the country. The fact that you could say that is ridiculous, because nothing, literally nothing that the Democrats are doing right now is worse than a guy who is an adjudicated rapist, a pedo with 34 felonies. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The fact that you are even willing to comprehend that choice is disgusting. And if he's being falsely accused, then he should be able to prove it. And yet he has been unable to every time.
I'd like to go over a couple of things that I learned earlier today in my last live about this whole legal process and expand a little bit on what Scott was saying, where I mentioned that we're, you know, barreling through but slow walking at the same time. So there are multiple stages to filing the lawsuit. And what's happening is, especially in this case right now, we're still in stage one. We're still in part one. It hasn't even discovery hasn't even started yet, where they, pull all their proof. So what they're doing, not just with this case, but pretty much all of their cases, is they're trying to push it through. Like they get the case filed against them, but they're still trying to push through the actions for whatever. And then once they get a filing against them, if anything goes not their way, they automatically put into appeal or to dismiss if a judge puts on like a preliminary injunction or not. And then they bring it up to appeals, to the appeal court, and then they bring it up to SCOTUS, and then we come all the way back down and we have to do it all over again. And they're doing that throughout the entire process for every single case. So it seems like they're winning, but really it's just being slow walked to the point where they only quote unquote won this teeny tiny little part.
And Tim, you aren't telling me why he won. He won because there is a group of people, a large group of people, that lacks humanity and empathy, that thinks that views people that are different than them with such vitriol that they are willing to vote for one of the vilest human beings on the planet instead of have people that look and love and think different than they do be in charge. That's why he won. Now there are different degrees of that, but that's still the reality. That is why there is no planet in the universe where Kamala Harris, with her experience, was a worse choice than Donald Trump. None. Zero. Nada.
And
Andy,
I mean,
would say,
we
go
look.
ahead, Claire.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and the thing is that Trump is basically and I wish I could speak today. He is part of the symptoms of what's going on in this country. Not having empathy, not having educational systems, having fear-based behaviors, all of these things that are prevalent in our society. Giving validation to behaviors and actions that should never have any validation is what caused us to get to this point. And so as a society, as we need to, the majority needs to figure out if this is what we really want going forward and act on it.
Well, in the end, the problem is there's still too large of a group of people that have their heads in the sand and aren't paying attention to anything, which again is the problem. That's the ultimate problem. You want to know the problem? That's what it is. Too many people do not pay attention, do not care to have conversations. Oh, okay, average guy. Thanks for that word of wisdom. I would argue high crime, open drug use, housing shortage leading to homeless. That's what we consider destroyed. I would not consider that destroyed. I would consider that a symptom of failed leadership in almost every case. Not being able to live somewhere. You can live there. People do. Is it a fun place to live? Is it sometimes a dangerous place to live? That's different. Doesn't make it destroyed. It makes it means problems need to get fixed. You talk with opposition. When opposition comes in, sure. I don't bring anyone up in the box that doesn't at minimum align with my fundamentals, if that's your question. And I only bring up people that I know at least to some extent before. You're in the box. You've requested, you mean? I'm not bringing you up. So echo chamber. No, we have lots of conversations. Why do I have to bring you up into the box in order to have a conversation with you? Why should I give your voice credence by letting you be up here if it doesn't align with my fundamentals?
Not to mention, I don't think we appreciate too many crash outs over here. We have a pretty chill way of going about things.
If what you're going to say is dangerous and goes against what I believe, like my red line is, how confident are you that adding justices is a good policy? Pretty confident. I also think we should add more people in the House of Representatives. I think having a representative that tries to represent 750,000 people is ridiculous. Any risks? No. Why? What do you think the risks would be? I mean, the risks? Sure, there's risks. There's risks with everything. I think if we're going to add more justices, we also have to change the way we do. Like, if you don't add in term limits too, then I wouldn't be okay with it. But I think if you add justices and add term limits,
Well, and this goes back to, right? We have different things that need to be evaluated and adjusted and shored up and guardrails put back on and things. And
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
There's already political football going on. There's been political football going on forever. How would adding more change political football?
I think that the risks associated with adding more justices is the same risk that we have right now with our current justices.
How is that doubling down on it? How are you guaranteed to be doubling down on it? Especially if you do what I said, which is also add in term limits.
And code of ethics.
And code of ethics. Hey, Tiffany.
Morning.
Morning. How are things in the evil land of Canada?
We're brewing up some potions here. It's all good. Putting in
Why
some corned beef.
wouldn't the next Republican Congress up the number to 20 to gain power? Yeah, that's always a possibility. That doesn't mean you don't do it. Again, how wrong do we think things are? If we think things are really wrong, or like right now, and things have to get fixed, then we've got to actually do something. Yeah, but again, that's all that's happening because of that fear of political football is nothing's getting done.
Well, and we also have to remember that the Supreme Court is not supposed to be involved in political football.
That's also true.
You know, they're supposed to be completely separate and not partisan at all in this. And we don't have that. It doesn't seem like we have that at present. And so that needs to be revamped.
Again, average guy, the justices saying that doesn't mean anything. Arguably, the Supreme Court has already delegitimized itself 10 times over. But the justices saying that, that's like a rich person saying, taxing me is bad, because a rich person doesn't want to be taxed.
And they have said that. Like, let's be honest, that's part of the reason the orange dude's in there is so that they don't get taxed more and actually get taxed less. That was like the first thing he did. Tax all of the people who are from the lower, I'm going to go with 100,000 just because it's a nice round number, and below, and give everybody above that big tax breaks.
Why do Dems like to be taxed so much? No one likes to be taxed, but it costs money to have a society. And
I don't,
like,
sir, I was going to say, I don't mind being taxed. As long as my tax dollars are being used effectively to run society, to provide quality healthcare, to provide quality healthy food, to provide education, all those things, I don't mind paying taxes. I don't understand why that's a problem for people. It's when I'm not getting good value for my taxes that I then have an issue.
for illegals,
And I
no,
would say sorry.
because it costs money to run a society. Like, it just costs money.
I would say tax dollars being used responsibly also, which is our biggest problem, I would say.
Well, our biggest problem is we've got that most of our money is going into the wealth of the wealthiest people, and it's never getting spent. So so people that don't have a ton of wealth are getting taxed too much.
Yep.
And people are also like, you know, that goes into when they're talking about people that are quote unquote undocumented, and paying for them slash taking American jobs. We now have food that is rotting in the fields or not being planted, or things of that are the agricultural communities are starting to dismantle, for lack of a better word, because of the fact that we do not have some of these migrants that come in, and that's what they do. They go farm to farm to farm to farm and do this, which was part of our system. Whether you agreed with how much they got paid or whatever, I'm not even going into that politics. I'm talking about the fact that people are yelling and screaming that they were taking American jobs, and the people, the American jobs, the American people are not doing these jobs, thus our food supply is going to go down.
And no, Coach Daniel, they aren't different. That's the problem, is you think that people that are here that are undocumented because they're in the midst of an asylum claim are illegal. They're not. That's the point. They're just undocumented, and they are waiting for their asylum claim to be heard. And most of them are waiting years and years for their asylum claim to be heard.
My daughter's best friend has been here for 27 years. And she's still working through her asylum claim. And May actually next month has a court case where she might actually be going back.
See, Daniel, this comes back to, this is why we can't have this conversation. You aren't listening. An asylum claim is not illegal. What should be happening is they come in and they claim asylum, and then they are heard quickly. And then if it is found that that we are not accepting their asylum, then they get sent back. I'm totally fine with that. But that's a problem with our immigration system, not with the immigrants.
No,
the problem
and
is
that
you're
is-
blaming immigrants for this, and the problem is us. The problem is our inability to do things and make changes that actually help.
like that's wild. Like 30 years? Like I think even with backlogs here, like you can get I think it takes 2 years right now, 12 months to 24 months, and then I think it's another couple of years if they do accept your asylum before, all this stuff goes through and you've got permanent status and da 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 da.
And
But
actually, Daniel, it's not more than enough. If the fact that you think that it is more than enough shows you don't know what it takes to actually run a society. It's not. You want illegals to gain more. What? Oh my gosh, grow up.
This is a troll, very much so.
You're just
Like,
you're an idiot. Again, you're the reason that we cannot. Founder of Extreme Athletes, father, coach. I feel bad for your kids. Goodbye.
me too. But yeah, I don't understand how this, and we have something changed in Canada too, because all of a sudden we started having people who were suggesting there was issues with immigration here in Canada and it was too high and da 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 da. So our government basically stopped everything here. I have no idea why, because I'm like, well, we're going to pay for this decision in about 12 months. Guess what? It's 12 months later. Guess what? We're paying the piper now because both of our countries benefit in various ways to having healthy immigration policies. Both of our countries. The difference, because how immigration works in both countries is different, and just how the countries have developed over the several centuries is different. So it's just different. But I'm like, this is going to ruin our housing market. Guess what? I am now not going to Winnipeg this fall because we couldn't sell our house. I have to wait until next year because I can't have my daughter not have proper ballet education for like 6 months till it does. Because the thing is, you know what? I would love to say it's all Canadians buying homes in Canada. It's not. It's people who come here to go to finish their masters or doctorates. It's people who come here to start businesses. It's people who come from even the United States and stuff, but no one's coming because they can't.
Austin, the only
it's okay.
reason that there is that the gap seems like it is because of oil. If it wasn't for oil, nothing, like it's not even close. We make so much money off of Canadians. I believe stats. Yeah, you got to learn how to read them if you want to believe them, though.
Mike, I almost just fell off my stairs.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you, Ambrosia. And yeah, I'm trying to look at this as if something's going to work out. My daughter's going to audition to the Royal Winnipeg Ballet for the pro program this year, and she's going to get in. And it was a delayed year that, you know what, worked out better. I'm just going with that. But Canada and US have mutually benefited from free trade, from everything that we've done to support each other. It is a mutual benefit. And this $60 billion deficit between the two of us, you're expecting a country of 10 times less the population to spend the exact same? Like just that alone. Like think that one through. For every one Canadian spending money, there's 10 Americans.
Oh, yeah. And again,
Like,
the only reason it's even as close as it is because of oil.
yep. Our natural resources, oil,
Oh, yeah, all of them.
natural gas,
Aluminum, electricity, oil, lumber, like
water. Like I was like, 1 out of every 3 houses in the United States uses Canadian lumber. 1 out of every 3. So like all of these tariffs for all of you ding dings who like just don't understand why these tariffs are bad. And I'm going to reiterate again because it seems like people just don't understand this. When a country imposes tariffs on products, the people of the country who import the stuff, so in your guys' case, the United States, pay that, not the country of Canada. The country of Canada is going to pay the tariffs that we're doing to match dollar to dollar. And I'm 100% certain Carney's said September 8th because he wanted some time to figure out exactly which industries he could target that were not going to harm Canadians so that we could pay the least amount and it could do the most pain to the province, to the states in the United States.
48 billion is not a lot of money. If we're talking like numbers of people, yeah. If you had $48 billion, yeah, that'd be a lot of money. But in terms of countries and GDP, no, that's nothing. That's like a drop in the hat. And again, it's mostly oil.
Yep. It's
almost completely oil. Canada sends over 1 billion barrels of oil every year.
Mm-hmm. That you guys refine our crude oil and then sell as what ends up, most of it probably ends up being gasoline in the end. Yeah, we buy it back. So like, hence mutual benefit, because it meant that you guys did the refining process. We didn't have to sit here and build all the refineries within our own country to refine all of our oil ourselves. So like it was a mutually beneficial arrangement. But the thing is, at this point, it's now a dangerous arrangement for Canada. And either way, your president tried to sneak in a whole bunch of stuff in the deal with Canada to basically make us the 51st state. He tried to, like, I don't know if they seem to get that they just tried to take Canada's sovereignty away in a sneaky way in a deal. Let's be real. Trump doesn't read the fine print of anything, but we know Carney will.
Neither do the people that think that we're okay with it. So,
well, and it's funny because I was going to ask you, because obviously I'm watching Canadian information and news from like England and stuff. I'm wondering, what are they saying in the United States? Because I have a feeling both of us are getting different stories here.
I mean, it depends which side you're interacting
nobody's looking at Fox News, because if I wanted to look at ridiculous false information, I might as well read Trump's Truth Social.
Well, we know Trump's people look at Fox News.
Yes.
Well, even Besant yesterday, with his announcement, claimed that Canada is the one that snuck in unfair regulations, etc.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
Like what? Requiring French on products? Because you went at what I laughed at, and I don't know if you guys are seeing any of this. The people right now, Canadians are so upset right now. Like we're talking 76% of Canadians right now are like, proud of Carney, think that he should have walked away. We're all ready to sit here and eat the bark off the trees if we have to. That's where Canadians are at. But we have like, there's this like collective thing on social media where all of us who are English speakers are all like, okay, time to pick up those French books again. We're going to learn, like, because we were like, it's like Quebec's like, it's part of the family. It's the one that we love to hate and pick on and stuff. But they're so part of the family. I was like, why are you going after Quebec? More importantly, you should be scared of them like the rest of us are. Like, what? Like, don't make them mad. It's like
Besant
making a Gen X
also,
mad. Don't. Just don't.
Besant also brought up the quote unquote unfair tariffs on our dairy entering into Canada. That whole 250% thing.
Can't
And
believe that
they leave
supposed
out,
economist is that much of an idiot.
oh, I know. People don't realize or don't remember that deal number one was made by Trump, and number two, that 250% was after a threshold had been met,
Correct.
and it had never even
We've
come
never hit the
anywhere near
threshold
it.
once.
Which is why the threshold was made the way it was, because it was so unlikely to occur that it was a moot point essentially, but it was there as a protection mechanism for Canadian dairy. Like, just as Trump's trying to, like, every country in this world, the governments sit here and seek to protect the industries that are really prominent and or
Sure.
at risk. We'll put it that way. They're at risk of other countries and economies coming in with cheaper, better with products that would threaten their industries. So that's every country's job. That's Canada, that's China, that's the UK, that's all of us. Like, we all do that. We are not siding with China. We are signing deals with China because, you know what? The only reason Canada has not had deals previously with China is because the Oval Office has asked us not to, and because we had such a close tied relationship between our countries, we'd respected those, because up until you guys put ding ding in the Oval Office again,
Lost you.
like, that's what you do. But why?
We did not influence
Oh
Canada.
my god. Oh my god. Like, can we really stop with that? Like, Canadians are more than capable of making our own decisions, even with American influence and Russian influence, because intelligence has come out now here in Canada, multiple studies. Russia and the United States are the ones who are trying to influence Alberta separation and stuff, not China.
No.
You guys are
I
going
can
after the
break this
Brad.
down even to a much simpler level, right? Let's say that you have a supermarket that has always been, fair in their pricing and whatnot, and then all of a sudden they change their prices so much that it's hard to sustain for those of us that shop there. So what do? We look around for somebody or another supermarket that's going to have the more reasonable prices. And that's kind of what Canada is looking at right now. We're not being fair to them. We are, throwing these tariffs around like they're seeds to the chickens, right? So and it's happening worldwide. We are showing that we do not care to keep these trade agreements at a reasonable level as commodities, right? So yes, I'm looking for a new store to shop at.
Yes.
I mean, and to, to the point of, very quickly, Trump has torpedoed not only trade agreements, but treaties all over the world. And, you know, and put blockades on information and intelligence that used to be with our world partners. So I mean, it's Canada is a symptom of the bigger problem in which Trump has perpetuated within our global communities.
It's between Trump and Canadian leadership, though, is Trump leads a military, you lead a microphone. It's a little.
Excuse me?
I don't. Canada's got their own military.
Despite what Sean Duffy thinks, and up until the Ukraine war, 3 of the top 5 longest SNIPER, because I don't know if I can say that word, longest shots were Canadian military personnel. And please go look up what Canada's reputation was in World War I and II, and that we were the only group that the Germans were actually terrified of. Like,
There's the
terrified.
reason.
Not to mention.
Oh yeah.
Not to mention.
That's why I say we got our magic in a spam can. Oh, sorry, corned beef can.
Not to mention, literally, since Trump took office this time, they've been building it up even more. Made deals with other countries to build warships and all that stuff. So, right now, America's military is starting to really get crappy. So he may lead a military, but the military is starting to fail. But they aren't going to war with the US. Okay.
Excuse me?
So what? What does that have to do with anything?
Canadians don't like going to
that statement.
war.
Your statement there literally counteracts your statement before. So the difference between Trump and Canada is both of them just have microphones, because if we're not going to war with each other, then that's all we have got.
And funny enough, I don't know if you guys saw the press conference with Carney. Carney has said this. The USA, we are at war. We are in a trade war. The USA attacked Canada.
So
that's how our government views it.
If things change, Canadians aren't isolated from violence. Neither is the United States. What's your point? Again, Canada has their own military.
Yes, we do. Very highly specialized and trained. May not be as big as the United States, but the people who are in it, very well trained, very good people. So much so that, you know what? America and Canada train each other's people, and Canada trains people from the UK and all sorts of places. People come to Alberta all the time for our military bases to train. Like, if you bother to ask military personnel in the United States, I guarantee there's been a ton of them who've trained. Like, did none of them were around for Afghanistan? Like, we were sitting there right alongside, losing people right alongside. Like, we came with you guys, even though we didn't start nothing.
But not by comparison. What do you think?
Yes, I can confirm the Canadian military, the Canadian Armed Forces were there in Afghanistan. I sat down and had many meals with all sorts of military. I don't know. Here's my thing. I'm gonna just say this, interject this briefly. Who would have thought that a failed businessman would be failing in business? Who could have possibly seen that coming?
Shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, just takes me all. I'm just taken aback.
Viewer, the point is, sure, Canada doesn't have as big of a military as the United States. But if the United States tried to do anything to Canada, you want to know what would happen? The entire rest of the world would join Canada and kick our ass.
Because we don't go start fights. We try to go as the peacekeepers. We try to go with our water filtration system so that people get clean, fresh water as soon as possible. We have, like, we invest in water bombers that can be used in any lake and any ocean and stuff, because the role we have chosen to take since World War II, for the most part, has been peacekeeping missions, because you know what? That's what the Canadian people want too. We don't want to start conflict. We want to go help people. That's who we are.
Canada has the capability of cutting electricity to like almost completely to multiple states and take away electricity from another like 15 of them. Not a matter of starting fights. Actually, it is.
Yeah, Trump started a fight and he's now decided he wants to rename Lake Ontario. So we get our own Gulf of Mexico incident here in Canada. It's no longer Lake Ontario, it's going to be Lake of America.
Your statement that Trump's got a military and all Canada has is a microphone is incorrect. Your statement, by its very nature, is wrong.
I would say Canada has been there through most of our disasters, whether they've been economic or, wildfires and earthquakes. And, Canada and even Mexico have been right alongside us, trying to help us through all of our stuff. So, making them out to be the bad guy here is just wild to me.
I would disagree that our military might is vastly superior anymore. I would disagree. Is it superior in the sense of by numbers? Sure. I wouldn't say it's superior though. If you live in a world where you think Canada could even win a war with Iran head to head, I would argue no. They're not trying to, nor are they stupid enough to. Only we're stupid enough to, and we're losing bad.
Yep. Well, Iran is one of the oldest countries on the planet. You think that in the sense of the whole planet existing and people being on it and there being countries or lands, like America, like as a nation, is a teeny itty bitty baby in history, and Canada right around the same. Iran is one of the oldest. Like, it baffles my mind. I'm like, and more importantly, why would you go start a war with somebody for absolutely no reason? For absolutely no reason. Like literally zero reason. It doesn't benefit you in any way at all. All you've done is made everything expensive for everyone in the world right now.
And no, there wasn't a reason. There wasn't.
Yeah, there was.
At least not a viable reason.
Well, there is. It's called e-files.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, we need to really face the fact that the ideal of American exceptionalism is a farce. It really is a farce. And, that's probably one of the biggest propaganda that we have not looked at and pushed against for 70 years, and the numbers don't show that in healthcare, in education, in military, and I mean, I can go on and on and on, and that's something to be
doer. It's a farce because everything that they claimed was their end goals, was their reasoning, they have failed at completely. And yes, I think this administration did go to war for the fun of it, for the narcissism of this administration. Yeah, I think they 100% did. I think they believed that Iran would roll over like Venezuela did, and he would have a mark in his biography book. What did they get out of it? Who? This administration? They've gotten billions out of this. Trump, he's gotten billions out of this. Like billions. Him and his buddies have shorted the oil market for the last 9 months with announcements that the deal is almost done, and then realizing that it's not. Money, tons of it. So much money.
Tons of personal money is the biggest thing too. This money is not coming to the citizens. This money is not paying down our deficit as much as they would like to make you believe.
I mean, you have the multi-million-dollar drones that are over there being shot down that are manufactured by a company that Eric Trump owns part of and is partially subsidized by the government. I mean, come on, people.
Yep, you guys are these are all shysters, and they are fleecing the American people like royalty in history books hasn't even been this good at fleecing the people. Even King John of Robin Hood was not this good. It's like it, and on top of it, to watch people cheer for it, like that is the thing that just like boggles my mind to the end game. Like there is a whole crowd of people cheering it on. Yes, please come pick my pocket. Like the farmers are finally, some of them, waking up now that Trump's bringing in, I don't know what that mystery meat is, but I would recommend people might want to not just sort it out there. Just eat some beans. It'll be good. It'll be okay.
But yeah, Trump, this entire presidency has been about Trump and his buddies making as much money as humanly possible and nothing more. Every decision that has been made, everything. It's literally all about money. Personal money.
Private prisons, farmland, oil, AI, other tech,
Crypto.
all of, yeah.
Where is he going to spend that money?
He was never planning on spending it. It was a meant to go to his kids.
That's like saying, where is Elon going to spend his $1 trillion in wealth? It's wealth. And wealth buys you influence. Wealth buys you favors. Wealth buys you pretty much everything you want in this country because we've allowed it to. No, he doesn't have trillions of cash on hand. He doesn't need it because that's not how our system works. They take loans out based on their wealth.
Yep. And loans aren't taxed.
Collateral.
And then they just take a different loan out to pay to cover the last loan that was made, and then when they pass, all of it goes away.
And if there is anything left, they set up a trust for a nonprofit organization. Because nonprofit organizations pay the least amount of tax. So they set it up that way, and then they put their children in charge of heads of these nonprofits.
Loan for what? Literally whatever they want.
You can use your home, your stock portfolio, all sorts of stuff for collateral.
They use it to buy everything. That's the problem. That $1 trillion of wealth that Elon has, that's what he used to buy Twitter. He didn't buy Twitter. He took out loans for Twitter based on his stock portfolios. That money never got spent.
Hold on, Mike. I just want to point out that my name's at the top of your live I'm bringing people together. People are talking. People are saying I'm dividing the country, but that's not true.
They aren't using their money to buy things, Doer. That's the point. They aren't using it. They're taking out loans. They're taking out untaxed loans off of that.
Yep. And they're using it to increase their portfolio so they can take out more loans.
The money
What-
they're spending is money that's already in the system. It's not new money. So they're not plopping anything back into it. Taking a loan out from the bank is not adding new money back into the system. They don't pay payroll? What does that have to do with anything? That comes from the business. That doesn't come from their wealth.
What a
what?
non sequitur.
What a waste of
Holy crap.
space. Like, please go apologize to the nearest tree for wasting the oxygen it just helped produce. That is like oh,
I mean-
I have a bookkeeping company. I run payroll. No, they're not using your own personal wealth to pay it.
Elon used money from government contracts to buy Twitter. No, he didn't. He took out loans. It was all loans from banks and people.
What's wild to me too is Elon actually did benefit a great deal from our government in creating his wealth. With all of the R&D, I used my quote fingers for that. I lost the word again. Grants and whatnot. That he didn't have to invest any of his funds into. It's wild to me that we have a trillionaire that cannot put his own money into his own R&D. Does that make sense to people? That, you know, and I understand his wealth is in stock.
They do not
But-
contribute to society at all. That's the point. If the wealth just sits there, it's not going into society. If they're not actually spending the money that's sitting in a wealth, it's not actually going into society.
It's not driving growth in the economy and therefore not driving GDP.
The more money that just goes into the wealth of the top 10% is less money that is in society to actually do things. These people aren't buying anything.
No, they aren't. And
No,
You're right. It is
I was gonna say
unrealized.
not-
It's unrealized gains, but those unrealized gains, they're just using the unrealized gains to do things, but it's actually not going in anywhere. They're not selling the stock. If they sold the stock and bought the things, that would be putting the money back into the country. So what's your solution? Tax wealth.
we used to have wealth
Tax-
taxes.
If they decide to take a loan out based on their wealth, you tax them on it. You'd make it so taking loans off of your wealth does not allow you to not be taxed. At minimum.
Well, and corporations should not be a person, first of all. And second of all, we used to have a much different corporate structure, tax structure, in the United States, where the amount of money that you paid in taxes was much higher depending on your dividends. And so because of it, people invested more money into their people and into the company itself than trying to get the upper 1% larger dividends. So, you know, that was my one point. The other point I was going to also make was the fact that not only are people not using the wealth to help the economy, they're also not really using the wealth to build better action within the communities through their charity and nonprofit organizations as well. And that's another big thing that you have some of these nonprofits where a large percentage goes just to wages instead of the programs in which they've said they're participating in.
Doer, without taxes, literally society would collapse.
Like, do you like roads to drive on? Water to drink? Like
literally society would collapse if we did not have taxes.
Like, the reason you're having issues with blueberries and lettuce and all of this other stuff is because they've taken the tax money that funded all of the programs to test all of those products before they hit the shelves. Like, that, though, the lettuce alone should be enough of a lesson. Like, let's be real, that should be enough of a lesson of why you spend tax dollars on safety programs. That alone, it shouldn't have even got to the blueberry stage.
I grow my own lettuce. Well, welcome to a society where it's not possible for everyone to grow their own lettuce, Doer. Society would collapse if it were not for taxes.
Okay, now hold on. I got a question for that person who grows their own lettuce. Okay, you grow your own lettuce. How much of that are you using to help other people? Or is it just your own self that you're helping? Because if you're not helping anybody, you stating that is pretty ridiculous. Are you showing somebody else how to do it? Are you helping the situation improve for anybody outside of yourself? If you can answer that, then your statement is relevant. If you can't, if you say your answer to that is no, it's just for me, then that's no different than anybody saying anything about anything that they do.
Not to mention there are tens, if not hundreds of millions of people that are living in situations where they couldn't grow anything even if they wanted to. And that wouldn't help them at all.
Victory gardens were once a thing during the war.
Yep.
I usually have too much, but it's for me and my family generally. That's the point.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
Bring the extra down to a food pantry.
Well, it's not even that. It's the point that it's just not realistic in 2026. There's this idea in people's heads right now that we can somehow go back to the day where people lived on their own farm and they did their own things and they never had to worry about anything else. That's not possible anymore. That's literally not possible anymore. There are too many people in this country. There are too many people in the world for that to be a realistic possibility for this country. So you got to get that out of your head. Taxes are a thing. They are a necessity. Unless you are literally going to lose half the population of the country.
Yep.
It is not going to happen. It is not possible. And if you're okay with the idea of losing half the population just because you don't like taxes, you are part of the problem.
You're a sociopath. And I was going to say, like, this became a problem because we commodified housing. And that's a joint issue. Canada, that's both borders. The minute we started commodifying houses so that everybody didn't have them and commodifying basically everything, literally food, housing, insurance. Tell me something that's not commodified. The minute everything became commodified, it became irrelevant what you could make yourself because it was never going to be enough. So, like, the idea that we can all just grow stuff, and look, I missed out my whole entire growing season this year because I thought I was selling my house. So what was the point of me planting all the tomato plants and stuff? I usually have like buckets and buckets, and I try making extra tomato sauce and I will give it away. I have lots of rhubarb right now that I'm happy to give to people to freeze over the winter. Like, if you grow excess, I don't charge people. I give it away. If you want some, like, I don't know if you guys have similar programs there. Like, in our city, we have a fruit sharing program. So if people have apple trees and they can't pick enough, you can post in like the Facebook group or on the website and tell people, hey, I have some apples, bring a bucket, come and pick them. We have trees that are our city alone plants of crab apples and all sorts of stuff that you can go as a citizen, just pick them for free, just treat the plant nice. Like, there's raspberries and stuff that grow wild. People are on the side of the highway picking them. We have to get to a point where we need to stop thinking about just me. What do I need? What do I want? What I want millions of dollars like Elon, because you know what? It used to be a thing where the wealthy used to build wings of hospitals. They used to build wings in universities. They used to fund great research studies and all sorts of stuff. The wealthy hasn't done that for a long time now. They've hoarded that stuff all the way up and it has not gone anywhere down.
Elon pays his employees about $12 billion a year. Yeah, and people that do nothing make
Minimum
even
wage.
more than that. And he does nothing. The man makes even more billions a year for doing absolutely nothing. What has he done to deserve it? Nothing. All right,
You
guys,
know-
it's 12:06. If anyone has anything left to say it, and then I gotta head out.
Yeah, so I just wanted to respond to this Angelo comment. You know, you're talking about always having something to complain about and get off our lazy butts. Well, first of all, if we weren't doing anything or weren't working, we wouldn't be able to be on the platform to be able to talk about these things, for one. And two, this is how it works, is that folks who are able to and in a position to bring and call stuff out do so. That's how we help bring about the change, because the people who aren't able to call these things out are too busy worried about how to eat and what to eat. So you always have to have someone who is in a position that is able to look and say, hey, that's not correct. That's not right. So I don't know what you're talking about or what you're on, but nobody up here is lazy.
And
Well, thanks for playing.
yeah, and Elon didn't build any companies. Other people built the company. He just threw his loans at it, his untaxed loans at it. He did nothing.
Yeah, he bought them.
All right, guys, I gotta head out. I got a friggin' dentist appointment today, so that should be fun.
I love the dentist.
I-
I love the
I
dentist.
hate the dentist.
I bet you do. Too.
I do.
All right, guys. I will see you guys. So tomorrow may be a little bit different. I got to get my car worked on, so we'll see when that's finished. If I don't, for some reason, go live during the day, I will go live in the evening. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll let you guys know in Discord and in the bulletin board on TikTok what's going to end up happening tomorrow. But you guys are amazing just the way you are, and I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile. Do something that makes you happy. Bye, guys. Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Bye.